and welcome to Labour Lens. I am Sharon Ijason. On this week edition of the program, we'll be focusing on organised labour and their agreement with the federal government to a 7,000 naira minimum wage, which will be delivered to the National Assembly on Tuesday. We also have news stories for you. We will be right back.
3 months after the expiration of the previous national minimum wage, a new one has been agreed between the federal government and organized private sector. This new minimum wage of 70,000 naira comes 1 month after the 37-member tripartite committee inaugurated by President Bola Tinubu submitted its report. After meeting the president for the second time, an agreement was reached, and with a caveat of negotiating a wage increase every 3 years.
We are taking this well with mixed feeling because of the situation of the economy, but we have to move ahead. Despite the situation, and the negotiation can linger, coming from 62 to 70, and then with the promise that we'll come back soon to negotiate it. We are taking it back to our constituency to see how we can get a buy-in.
Why this became a catch, because we from Organized Labour, we have been pushing that the issue of 5 years review is too much, that a lot of economic indices may have changed, because we are in an era where things are moving very fast in terms of both macro and microeconomic policies. But with also the caveat that this is going to be done every 3 years. 3 years, the next review will be 3 years. And after that pronouncement, we from Labour, just has been said that, well, we have received what the president has promised.
Beyond the wage increase, President Bola Tinubu made some concessions on behalf of the federal government. He directed that all contentious issues with the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities and the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities be resolved. The federal government will also expedite measures to reduce the impact of economic reforms on citizens.
More money is going to go into the acquisition of more buses, the CNG buses. Nigeria is going to be more CNG compliant, according to the president. We are moving in this transition to renewable, and all other things that Mr. President has assured Labour.
He promised and asked that the Minister of Finance, coordinating economy and budget and the economic planning, should make sure that they go back to books, because he has the discretion to look into of NASU, ASU, and SANU and all that, and so that their money should be paid.
The federal government hopes the effect of this agreement reached with the NLC and TUC will buy it more time as it continues with the implementation of policies that will have direct impact on lives and livelihood.
The Minimum Wage Act of 2019, which made 30,000 naira the least pay for workers in Nigeria, expired in April 2024. By law, the act should be reviewed every 5 years to meet with contemporary economic demands of workers. The removal of subsidy in May 2023 led to a rise in cost of commodities, and transportation was not excluded. The citizens cried, and Organized Labour threatened a showdown as it called for a review of the minimum wage. By January 2024, President Bola Tinubu inaugurated a 37-member tripartite committee to negotiate a new minimum wage for workers. The committee comprises representatives of federal government and states on one hand, as well as the private sector and organized labor on the other. It took a while before the committee began its sitting, and organized labor kicked. It accused government of buying time and exposing workers to hardship. The Trade Union Congress tabled 497,000 naira as minimum wage. On Wednesday, 15th May, the first major meeting on minimum wage ended in a stalemate as the workers rejected government's offer of 48,000 naira. A week after, on the 22nd of May, Labour turned down government's offer of 54,000 naira. Another deadlock on the 28th of May, as the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress rejected government's 60,000 naira minimum wage. On June 3rd, both trade unions began a national strike over the tripartite committee's failure to agree on a new minimum wage and hike in electricity tariffs. President Bola Tinubu's commitment of a wage higher than 60,000 naira led to the suspension of the industrial action as organized labor returned to the negotiation table. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, led the talks. On the 7th of June, the government and organized private sector agreed to 62,000 naira, while labor insisted on 250,000 naira. Nigerian workers, through their leaders, insisted on earning a living wage as against a slave wage. In the midst of these negotiations, state governors grumbled. The resolution of the tripartite committee moved all eyes to President Bola Tinubu, who was expected to send a bill to the National Assembly on a new wage. Desirous to avoid another stalemate, President Bola Tinubu engaged in further consultations with organized labor before the bill on a new wage is sent to the parliament. Thursday's agreement to 70,000 naira new minimum wage paves the way for the executive to dispatch the new minimum wage bill to the National Assembly.
It's often said that a journey of 1,000 miles starts with just a single step. For me, I just feel that it's a step at the right direction. Before now, the minimum wage was 30,000 naira, and the federal government met with the leadership of the both unions, the TVC and Nigerian Labour Congress, and agreed to have a minimum. Here we are talking about minimum wage, pegged at 70,000. And on top of that, the government, in its magnanimity, have gone ahead to say, okay, the review will be made every 3 years. I think this is just a start. As it progresses,
ordinarily it's not sufficient, but since an agreement has been reached, we cannot but just accept and believe in God that it has been promised that the new law that will be promulgated, the review will be every three years. So with that, in the next 3 years, then it can be looked into again. But as it is, we cannot say sufficient, but half bread is better than none.
The President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for him to, it's humble for him to come down to meet with the labor leaders. Other presidents will not do so. Although 70,000, yes, he can take somebody home a little bit, but it's not up to what we were expecting. But still, we appreciate him. Yes, it may not be up to our expectation, that is the labor, but then we just have to accept it in good faith, hoping that that law he amended at every three years. It then means we have more than 2 times to review it before he finally leave office if he win election in 2027.
This is the right step in the right direction. We all know where we are coming from. The 30,000 naira that was being reviewed to 70,000 is more than 100% increment. And for we, though we are Oliver Twist, that will always ask for more, but for now, because of the economy and because of the reason of reducing the year of review to 3 years, I think we're okay by that.
On the profile interview segment this week, I'll be speaking with the President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Joe Ajero. He brings us up to speed on why organized labor agreed to 70,000 naira as the new national minimum wage. He also emphasized on the federal government ensuring that other palliatives to alleviate the suffering of the workers. It's good to have have you on the program, and congratulations on the successful outing with the federal government. I'm aware that the National Executive Council meeting met. Can you bring us up to speed on what is the feeling of members of workers across Nigeria at the moment towards the proposed 70,000 naira minimum wage?
Well, the leadership of the NLC in the 36 states and in all industrial unions unanimously endorsed what happened yesterday and said it was unprecedented and equally emphasized that it is not over until it is over. A good agreement is that which is implemented or enforced. So from what they have said, yes, we have gotten this amount, but you will see people who will tell you they will not pay. That is where we are going to stand on this matter. So they endorsed it, unanimously.
Okay, so moving forward, what will be your expectations from the meeting? You announced that the federal government agreed that the minimum wage conversation will not be a 5-year conversation anymore, but rather it will be the minimum wage conversation will be held every 3 years. The organized private sector has not accepted that proposal. How would you react to this?
Well, I don't know why you say the organized private sector did not accept it. I doubt, because I operated in that sector, and there's hardly any agreement, any CBA in the private sector that challenge them that lasts for more than 2 years, at most 3 years. So I don't think that they will say they don't accept 3 years, but who are pushing for 2 years, especially with the CBA agreements, collective bargaining agreements, in the private sector that are reviewed almost every 2 years. But Mr. President said no, that is 3 years. And we didn't just go to Mr. President to get this. We canvassed this at the tripartite committee. We were clear, it's 2 years, and they were there. And these proposals of 2 years, and maybe they insisting that it should remain where it is forever and ever, was taken there. Same way the issue of 62,000 that they insisted with others. And we were taking it to Mr. President, whose bill it will be. It's going to be an executive bill, the National Assembly. So unless they are saying that they don't accept the authority of the president, that's where we are now. And that was why we went there to continue what we canvassed at the negotiation. And he saw reasons, though for 3 years, but we were canvassed. Even yesterday, he said, no, it has to be 3 years, that 2 years is more. So that is the situation. I don't think that that is even the concern or the problem of the organized private sector. Their concern, I articulated it at their annual general meeting. The president equally said he was going to see how things would be easier for them to enable them to implement. So it's not a question of 3 years or whatever, but that is what is happening in the organized private sector.
All right. Apart from the organized private sector, we also know that we have the government, be it federal government or state government. What would be your response towards state governors that have failed to even pay 30,000 naira, which was the previous agreement? We know that some states still receive less than 18,000 naira as minimum wage. What is your clear message to such states that might actually be practicing such?
Well, in every 12, there must be a Judas. That's a fact. Even while they were saying they will not pay the 62, whatever. Some states, like the person in Ikebe, one of the people that received the least allocation, said, I'm not part of it. The governor of Edo State started implementing, he announced that it fell from May 1. In fact, his own was like prophecy. He said it fell from May 1. While we are waiting for them to conclude, we'll start paying 70,000. Yesterday, while we were leaving the place, the governor of Lagos State ran into us and said, I'm not paying less than 70,000. At the rent school, I was in New York on Monday. The head of service representing the governor said, we are waiting for anything that agree, we are going to pay. Now, you can see that there's no unanimity in the conspiracy to pay slave wage. Those who fear God, who believe that a worker deserves his wage, will do the right thing. Now, if you went through the communique signed by the PDP governors, they said these people demand a better pay, although they have a of ability to pay. Now, ability to pay is where we are now, because your colleagues are paying that, and you can pay. So we expect people to now practicalize that which they have preached. If there are governors, probably other states who don't want to pay, or from other parties who don't want to pay, as we move on, we'll get to know and find out why they don't want to pay, whether it's that they don't like us or they don't want to pay us. Because even Mr. President said he's going to look to the matter. But we have learned from experience, especially during the time of General Buhari, when he sent money for the payment of arrears of salaries, and we discovered that some people equally use it for other things. So I think if it's any state that is their priority, we will be able to pay 70,000 is.
Jurisdiction of what wage should be. What would be your message to the National Assembly when it comes to wage should be treated, especially as they will be receiving this document from the president on Tuesday?
Well, the issue is that that matter has been on each time workers ask for minimum wage. So some of the governors will go and instigate the members of House of Rep or senators from their state to say, go and enforce the regulation of wage so that they will bring it to us to determine what we pay. Now, we are not in a lawless society. We are not even practicing confederal system of government. Because if we are going to deregulate it and you pay what, now you can as well say all the revenue in your state, you have to take them and take what you want. Those are the issues that are before us. However, Nigeria cannot live in isolation all over the world. And I will tell you this. If to the subnationals, probably will be their wage proposal and what they are doing and the enforcement to the ILO. It doesn't happen that way. It goes beyond Nigeria. So for us, and they don't want to learn. People may have PhD, but they're ignorant on certain issues, or the motive for it blinds them, from doing the right thing. So I think we have tried to explain that, that if you behave in such a way that you now want to create independence for yourself in order to oppress workers, we'll go on the streets for the next 1 month. We'll make that clear, so that you go, because you can't enter the National Assembly without people at the gate, without driver, without security. If those are the people who you are making laws, to impoverish them, then we'll look at it, and then it will bring some level of inequity, You see some states, if you watch them, that you see people who are Nigerians, who will be paid slave wage. And the whole essence of the provision in the Constitution for equal pay for equal wage, will be totally defeated. Some Nigerians will be enjoying more than others, especially where the resource base, might be. So these are issues that we try to point out, that they should not be mischievous in doing it. But when you are mischievous in taking decisions,
People,
Nigerians want to know. Nigerian workers want to know what we should be expecting, aside from the 70,000 naira minimum wage and the consequential adjustment that will still happen in the months thereof.
Every negotiation, government is fond of giving, you know, 3 notes. They give promissory notes. We are going to build a house in the sky. The house will not be built. They have promised CNG will be operational, this and that will happen. But we know them all. These things may not come up. Even the wage award, they paid last, and we raised it again with Mr. President. They paid last in February, March, April, May, June, and this July they enter. Unless they end it in April. Because the agreement we had with them until a new minimum wage comes into law, the 35% wage award will be paid. But in most states, if not all, they're not even paying this. So they keep on giving you promises that CNG buses are coming. 5 years today, they say they're going to allocate some, 100-seater, 36 CNG buses to labor and others to facilitate the movement. All those are promissory notes. We, in most cases, don't bring it out. Because before you know it now, they may come with one policy that will destroy all that we have gained. So that's why we are skeptical when such promises are made, such dramatic promises, in order to, win our love. It happened. What I've told you will have.
Thank you very much for your time. It was an interesting conversation I had with you. The Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria awarded some maritime experts at its national secretariat located in southwest Lagos, Nigeria. The President General of the union, while addressing workers, said Honorable Onari Brown and Charles Okaga over the years have been able to ensure that industrial harmony is maintained within the Nigerian ports.
We pray that the new MD that is coming will be a workers friendly, will be somebody that will take care of the welfare of the workers in Nigeria Port Authority. If anybody is telling me all is well in Nigeria Port Authority, I will say no. Salary of the workers in NPA was just reviewed almost 80 years ago. Another minimum wage have come. We are ready to face the challenges of this struggle. The responsibility of any union leaders is to protect the welfare of its member. Whoever is trying to sabotage our efforts on this struggle, God will take care of the person. Amen. It's our struggle. If your house is okay, allow the other people that their house is not okay. Let them be smiling as we are smiling. This smile is not for your face alone. Allow other people to have a smile of hope. And I believe we use this medium to tell the new managing director of Nigeria Ports Authority that Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria will support him, we work with him, and it's not listed to psychopaths. Those ones that doesn't have anything in their cupboard, those ones that are enemies of the workers, we are not going to accept that. Because we have been, giving pregnant for 7 years and we cannot deliver a baby. But this time around, I'm sure we are going to deliver twins.
Recipients of the award reacted to the union's presentation of gifts and award.
Well, I feel highly excited and I'm overwhelmed because to start with, there was no prior notification of this event. I was just given a simple call to do a courtesy call to the office and only to get here and see the enormity of the preparation for the events of today. It makes me feel great, and it also makes me feel that it is important for us to apply ourselves to our work and to try and carry everybody along in the process of work. Furthermore, it's a great testament to the fact that there is need for humility in service.
Warming, quite unexpected, but something that is a motivator to greater heights. It just shows that when
One is working, you do your work well, and people actually see whether they applaud you openly or not. Just do your work to the best of your ability. This is a demonstration of the fact that people are watching when you're working. I'm very, very overwhelmed, highly overwhelmed by the action. It is an opportunity for me to admonish Nigerians to have faith in this country and not just talk about the economic woes that we are facing. There is no development without pain. Let us see it as a process that will lead us into a better tomorrow. And for the Maritime Workers Union, they know that maritime business is an international business, and whatever happens within the maritime sector is not just affecting Nigeria, it is global, and it will affect our image worldwide. In a time like this, we need all the international business that we can have, and so they should continue to ensure industrial harmony. In pushing for their rights, they should also consider the health of the nation. That is my advice to them.